So, Meghan Markle just got the boot from Netflix, and it wasn't subtle. This wasn't some carefully worded press release or a gentle, let's go our separate ways. No, this was a headline-grabbing, executive-level split that sent shockwaves through both Hollywood and the streaming world. 4 months, rumors had swirled about trouble brewing behind the scenes, creative differences, underwhelming numbers, and a whole lot of drama, but nobody expected it to end with such a public, messy fallout. It all started with high hopes and a $100 million deal that was supposed to catapult Meghan from royalty to Hollywood power player. Netflix was eager for the cachet that came with a duchess and a chance to cash in on royal intrigue. Meghan, for her part, was ready to prove she was more than just a tabloid headline. She wanted to be a producer, a star, a storyteller with a purpose. The first project, with Love, Meghan, was greenlit with much fanfare. But it didn't take long for the honeymoon to fade. Behind closed doors, insiders whispered about creative chaos. Meghan, they said, was demanding and relentless. She wanted script rewrites at the last minute, argued endlessly over creative direction, and clashed with producers over everything from lighting to wardrobe. Nothing was ever quite good enough. Crew members began to joke that working on With Love, Meghan was more stressful than dealing with the British press. The real trouble began when the first season dropped. The numbers were not great. Despite a mountain of PR and Meghan's star power, the show failed to crack the top charts. Critics were lukewarm, fans were divided, and Netflix's top brass started to get nervous. Still, the company had already invested millions more into a second season, hoping for a turnaround. Cameras rolled, reshoots were ordered, and the tension on set reached a boiling point. Then came the fateful meeting. Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters, Netflix's top executives, had seen enough. Reports of outbursts and arguments had reached their desks too many times. Emergency meetings were called. Meghan reportedly called Ted in a panic, desperate to save the deal. She begged, pleaded, even offered to take a pay cut or work on a lower-budget project just to keep her Netflix foothold. Sarandos, usually unflappable, was unmoved. When he's done, he's done. The board was unified. Meghan's chapter at Netflix was closed. No new deals, no spin-offs, no let's see what else you can do. Just a hard stop. The news hit Meghan like a tidal wave. She didn't slink off quietly into Montecito. Instead, she went into full damage control mode. Her team accused Netflix's executives of discrimination and unfair treatment, going so far as to demand another emergency meeting. Insiders say Meghan was in tears, furiously lobbying for any kind of lifeline, a new docuseries, a one-off special, even a travel show. Anything. Netflix, however, was unmoved. The bridge was burned. Season 2 of With Love, Meghan would air, but only because the company had already sunk a small fortune into production. Privately, Netflix executives admitted they just wanted to be done with the entire ordeal. Meghan's behavior had gone from difficult to insufferable, and there was no trust left on either side. But Meghan wasn't ready to accept defeat. Almost immediately, she began reaching out to friendly media outlets. The spin machine was up and running. Stories appeared in celebrity blogs painting the split as mutual, suggesting there was no bad blood, just a difference in creative vision. But insiders weren't buying it. Word was getting around Hollywood. Other studios started to back away, quietly pulling out of meetings or stalling negotiations. The risk was too great, and the drama was too fresh. One executive put it bluntly, "We don't need another narcissistic PR disaster on our hands." Harsh, maybe, but after the Netflix debacle, can you blame them? Even as the dust settled, the details of Meghan's final showdown at Netflix HQ started to leak. Security had to escort her through a back entrance to avoid the press. Once inside, she demanded a closed-door meeting with Sarandos and Peters. She wasn't there to negotiate. She was there to vent. Crying, yelling, pacing, she accused them of betrayal and even sabotage. At one point, she claimed she was the reason millions subscribed to Netflix in the first place, a bold claim, considering the show's actual viewership. Peters tried to keep things professional, emphasizing that the board's decision was unanimous and final. Meghan refused to take no for an answer. She pitched more ideas on the spot, a global women's empowerment special, a travel show, even a docu-series on motherhood. But the well had run dry. Netflix was finished. Things escalated further when Meghan's legal team contacted Netflix, suggesting the termination might violate her contract. They even floated the idea of a discrimination lawsuit. But rather than intimidating Netflix, this only confirmed they'd made the right decision. Executives now saw Meghan as not just difficult, but potentially dangerous to the brand. To tamp down the press, both sides released coordinated statements. The usual polite phrases appeared: creative differences, scheduling conflicts, mutual respect. But behind the scenes, there was nothing mutual left, only resentment and relief that it was finally over. Meanwhile, Meghan scrambled for a new start. She began talks with NBC about hosting a new game show, believing she could pivot into lighthearted mainstream TV. She reached out to Apple TV, Hulu, even Amazon, but nobody was biting. One executive's comment: "She brings more drama than ratings," spread across social media like wildfire. The exact image Meghan was desperate to shed was now haunting her every move. With every door closing, Meghan doubled down on her narrative. Leaks to tabloids, carefully staged photos, social media posts hinting at a comeback. But her efforts felt forced, almost desperate. Hollywood isn't just about talent or connections, it's about reliability. And right now, Meghan Markle looked like a walking risk nobody wanted to take. Her publicists worked overtime, trying to steer the narrative back on track. But the industry buzz was relentless. Headlines shifted from creative differences to meltdown at Netflix. Anonymous insiders revealed more details: last-minute script changes, shooting days delayed over minor complaints, crew members quitting rather than facing another day on set. Meghan's brand, once so promising, was collapsing before her eyes. But to Meghan, this wasn't the end. It was war. She started calling in favors, reaching out to old contacts to help revive her public image. Most responded with silence. In Hollywood, word travels fast, and nobody wants to be next in the line of fire. Deals that once seemed certain suddenly stalled. Sponsors backed away. Even podcast platforms that once embraced her began to rethink their association. Desperate to regain control, Meghan launched a new PR campaign. Stories appeared on celebrity blogs, framing her as a misunderstood visionary caught in the crossfire of corporate politics. There was talk of a tell-all interview, one that would finally reveal the truth about what happened at Netflix. But public sympathy only lasts so long, and by now her credibility was fading. Behind the scenes, Meghan approached independent production houses in Canada and the UK, offering to fund her own documentary. She claimed she could build her empire from scratch. But after all the whispers and horror stories, nobody was willing to gamble on her. Meanwhile, the NBC game show negotiations cooled. Initially, executives were intrigued by the idea of Meghan as a host. But after her Netflix drama went public, they worried about reputational damage. Would viewers tune in to watch someone now famous for tantrums and boardroom blow-ups? By the end of July, Meghan was no longer even in serious consideration. The final blow came as Hollywood trades published postmortems on Meghan's fall from grace. One called her a cautionary tale of ego and industry colliding. Another headline summed it up: "From princess to pariah." By August, with Love, Meghan was wrapping up its second season, but the mood on the set had changed. This wasn't a comeback. It was a farewell. Netflix made a tough call, but for Meghan, it marked the end of her last big foothold in Hollywood. With her name fading from the front pages and doors closing one by one, the only question left is, what happens next? Will Meghan find a way to reinvent herself, or is this the final chapter in her Hollywood story? For now, the industry is watching, curious, cautious, and just a little bit wary of what Meghan Markle might do next.